So let's start the session. So I will invite our chairperson, Sujachechi, to start for the welcome speech as well. Sujachechi, please.
Yes, for sure. Good morning, Kerala. Good evening, America. I am super excited to be here this evening. We have an amazing guest speaker for us tonight. Let me welcome Dr. Ashwini N.V. She is the founder and director of Muktha Foundation that prevents abuse and promote mental health. Once again, welcome Dr. Ashwini and everyone else. Deshma, take over.
Thank you, Sujachechi. Before I invite Doctor, I would like to say a few words. So good evening and thank you for being part of this session. We all have been looking forward for this session. So FOMAA Women's Forum has a project, herSwaasthya, going on, and it is helming many health-related projects in this term, of which positive mental health, mental space is one of them. And often we have seen people making sure they are fit physically. Some way along the way, they forget to make sure that their mental well-being is also good. So that is more seen in women, especially. So the feeling of worthlessness and lack of confidence, insecurities, everything builds towards lack of self-appreciation and positive self-image. We should recognize that sometimes we all have to step up for ourselves, step up for our health and physical as well as mental health. It is required for us to understand how important self-care is. So as a step forward towards finding the positive mental space in women, we Women's Forum have brought Dr. Ashwini N.V. from Bangalore. So I'll give you a brief introduction about Dr. Ashwini. Dr. Ashwini N.V. is the founder and director of Muktha Foundation. Muktha Foundation is an organization which is committed to promote mental health and to prevent interpersonal violence. She's also the curator of the project called Say Yes to Wellness. She's a trustee of Aveksha, a women's rights organization. She's a gold medalist in postgraduate studies in psychological counseling and holds a PhD in psychology pertaining to self-inflicted burns among Indian women. She was earlier a faculty member in postgraduate department of psychological counseling, psychology at Mountford College and Jain University, Bangalore. She is a counseling psychologist with practice and research interest in the area of intervention and prevention of interpersonal violence, such as intimate partner violence, child abuse, bullying, etc. She is the external member of several internal complaint committees to prevent sexual harassment at workplaces. She was recognized as one of the 100 leaders under 30 from across the globe for her idea titled Focus Formula to Foster Mental Health in Low and Middle Income Countries at St. Gallen Symposium, Switzerland in May 2015. She is a recipient of Rotary Bangalore's Vocational Service Award 2018-19 for her work in the area of training and promotion of mental health. In the year 2019, she directed a campaign titled Child Safety National Priority, where she traveled nonstop for 90 days from January 1st to April 1st in 2019 to all the 29 states and 3 union territories to conduct over 150 training sessions on prevention of child sexual abuse, thereby becoming the first person to have this consecutively in the country. In the last decade, she has conducted over 2,000 plus training programs pertaining to prevention of interpersonal abuse and violence and promotion of mental health. She runs a free psychological counseling helpline for survivors of abuse and violence. And trust me, I'm so glad that we were able to connect with Dr. Ashwini and are so thankful to her for agreeing to take time to give us these sessions. Let me welcome Dr. Ashwini N.V. on the screen.
Thank you so much, everyone. And, such an honor to be connecting with all of you. And for FOMAA, the organization and the project herSwaasthya to also include mental health component is something that's must be, appreciated. So thank you so much, Reshma ma'am, for connecting with me, and Suja ma'am for welcoming me, and all of you for being here. So, if there is something that I request, all of you, let us be willing to share, and let there also be that willingness to listen and hold that positive space for each one of us. Yeah. So let it not be something where I speak and, just there is listening. Let's keep it interactive. And maybe towards the end, let's allot some time for Q&A, but that does not mean that as, I'm speaking on the topic, you hold your questions for too long. Please put it on the chat mode, or please feel free to unmute and, let me know what are some of your thoughts and questions if there are any. Yeah, I'm very happy that we have a set of the topics that are decided, but as we go, feel free to bring in as many questions as possible so that, those questions, we can have it under a particular topic and then we could, the present. But something to remember is I'm looking at these workshops from two objectives. One is preventive workshop as well as interventional workshop. So now what I mean by preventive workshop is, sometimes it's quite possible that we may pick up a skill from these sessions and we may be able to prevent a concern even before it emerges. Quite possible. But for some of us, maybe the content can also be interventional in nature. Maybe we are going through certain conflicts, or maybe we are going through certain emotional concerns or relational concerns, and something that we are discussing can also be used to address it. So either which way, be it for prevention or for intervention, I'm hoping, that the information that gets shared is going to come in handy. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to keep these sessions interactive, and I hope the numbers increase over, the period of time. And all of you who are here, I hope to see you all in the 5+ sessions that, we are aiming from today till, I think, August, September. I think that's the current plan. So today, the topic that we will be focusing on is something of a foundation to everything that we will be discussing in the months to come. Today, we are looking at how do we enhance our emotional intelligence? And as a consequence of being able to improve our emotional intelligence, can we also become assertive? And usually assertiveness is an outcome of having adequate emotional intelligence as well as social intelligence. So today we are therefore looking at two broad topics. One is enhancing emotional intelligence, and as an outcome, can we also improve our, assertiveness skills? And and when we will be talking about assertiveness, you would see how more often than not, whenever you go Google assertiveness, do you all remember what images come? No. It's like anytime you Google assertiveness, there are images on the Google where, on the palm, there is no written and it's just no. But we will see how assertiveness is a lot more than that. It's about how do we set boundaries, how do we defend it, and how do we also respect the boundaries that others have set. Would you all be okay with this particular topic? Yeah. Two topics, emotional intelligence and assertiveness. So I hope all of you are able to see the screen. Yes? Okay, great. So now this is just the basic outline of the broader headings that we will be covering today. Anytime we're looking at enhancing emotional intelligence, we are looking at these four broad categories. Okay. How do we understand ourselves? How do we manage ourselves? And after we've understood and managed ourselves, how do we understand others and manage others? As simple as it might, seem as very precise 4 points, but there are so many concerns in each one of these aspects, right? Sometimes not being able to understand what emotions we are going through, or sometimes, let's say there is an intense emotion. Can you all put on the chat box, which is that one emotion that you find most difficult to manage? Which is that one emotion that you find most difficult to manage? And let me see if I can Which is that emotion? For someone, it could be anger. For someone, it could be feelings of rejection. Yeah. Suja ma'am says empathy towards others, quick temper. When people put you down with negative words, it hurts. Absolutely. Any other? Any other emotions? So part of becoming emotionally intelligent is also, are we emotionally literate in the very first place? You know, you see that phrase, emotional literacy. How many feeling words are we aware of? And do we use that in communicating with others? Rajita says anxiety. Yeah. Self-doubt. Jeanette, I hope, how do I pronounce your name, Jeanette? Is that Jeanette? No?
Yeah, correct
Yeah, it's
pronunciation.
okay. Yeah, thanks, Jeanette. Okay, self-doubt, setting boundaries, guilt. So we will look at these 4 broad categories today. Now, the understanding is, if we are in a position to understand our emotions and thoughts, and if we are in a position to manage our emotions and thoughts, for all you know, that's a foundational step that equips us to better understand others and manage others. Yeah, so this would be the foundation of us being emotionally intelligent as well as socially intelligent. And we will go, one by one. Would that be okay, everyone? Yeah, so we will invest, I will not say this is something that I've been asking all of us. Let's not say we are spending time, we are investing time. So we are going to invest, at least a good half an hour on understanding and managing ourselves, and then understanding and managing others. And then we'll go ahead in a systematic manner. Look at this. Like I said, first we will look at understanding and managing ourselves. And for that, we need to begin with what is called cognitive distortions. And I'm going to make this statement, and I want all of you to remember this. For all you know, in our last session, I'm going to ask, what was that first line I mentioned about cognitive distortion? I'll tell you why. In the domain of mental health, we say there is no mental disorder without it beginning as a cognitive distortion. There is no disorder without distortion. So if any of us develop mental health concerns, it would have begun as some form of distortion. Are you all okay with this? Now, this particular perspective, it's coming from the school of thought called cognitive behavioral therapy. So it's like this, okay? I would just like to talk about, the various fields in the domain of mental health. See, there are some approaches which will say we need to first change the behavior. Some will say, no, first we need to change feelings. Whereas cognitive behavioral therapy would say, there is no way we can change our emotions or behaviors for better if we have not changed our thoughts. Did you all hear me? There's something called person-centered therapy, where they say you make a person feel good, they will become better. What's the line? Make the person feel good, maybe they'll become better. I mean, behavioral therapy, the understanding is you need to make the person behave well, and then their life becomes better. Whereas in cognitive behavioral therapy, the understanding is if we could build skills of thinking right, and then the person becomes better and life gets better. So this particular school of thought is looking at understanding our, thoughts first as a way to become emotionally intelligent. Is that idea very clear? So whenever I'm talking about cognitive, the word cognitive is thought related. And the understanding here is our thoughts are going to determine our emotions, not the other way around. Okay. Now, the simple analogy is this. Let's say, how do we understand cognitive distortions? Let's say you're wearing spectacles. If there are scratches on the spectacles, what happens? Please feel free to unmute and let me know, and let the group know. And this is also, which is like the first voice that I'm going to hear.
You can't see.
Absolutely. Like Suja ma'am says, the world looks distorted. You can't see. There's no problem with the world. but the scratches on your spectacles is making you not be in a position to see the world clearly. Similarly, cognitive distortions are scratches in our thinking style. Is everyone okay? So very similar to how scratches on our spectacles will not allow us to look at our own selves in the mirror clearly, or others clearly, or the world clearly. When we have these cognitive distortions, it will not allow us to understand ourselves clearly, others clearly, and the world looks completely distorted. So essentially, cognitive distortions are scratches or errors in our thinking style. Is everyone okay with this understanding?
Yes.
So therefore, cognitive distortions are the building blocks of all human problems. Be it depression, be it self-doubt, be it anxiety, be it, let's say, intense, unmanageable guilt, at the base of it is usually cognitive distortions. And these cognitive distortions are bound to affect our emotional intelligence. So therefore, the first step is we need to understand it and then be in a position to manage it. Yeah. So let me, ask you all to recollect thoughts for the day. You remember in our schools and colleges, there was this habit of thought for the day. You remember one of the favorite thought was think before you fill in the blank.
Leap.
Leap.
Yeah. Think before you leap.
You act.
What other variations have you seen?
Act. Think
Act.
before you act.
Think before you act. Yeah.
Yes.
That's...
Think before you act. Think before you leap. Think before you speak. Think before you ink. Some creative people also said think before you ink, like think before you write. Now the idea is let's think and, delay everything. But CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, is asking you, what if what you're thinking itself is erroneous? Then what's the whole point in thinking before inking, thinking before speaking? That's the problem here. So therefore, cognitive distortion is asking us, let's not just fall in love with our thoughts. Sometimes the thoughts that we are having could be so erroneous, and that's exactly what is causing distress. Okay. So just look at the picture, like the first picture that you see. Can we have this objective evaluation of our thoughts? While it's there in our head, it's very difficult to evaluate it objectively. So therefore, once in a while, and I invite all of you to do that maybe today, and I'm hoping, till I meet you all next week, you would continue that engagement. Can we objectively take that distressful thought and then evaluate what's the cognitive distortion here and why is this making me feel miserable? Personally, professionally, socially. Yeah, that's the objective. Are you all okay with this? So in order to understand and manage ourselves, the first topic that I want to introduce to all of you is cognitive distortions. And I want you to prepare for a number. I think I'm going to talk about 8 to 10 cognitive distortions. Okay, 8 to 10 cognitive distortions. And I want you to ask yourself, which one do I have first? And then we'll look into the cognitive distortions of our spouse, of our children, colleagues, bosses, because the human tendency is when we are learning these cognitive distortions, immediately it's like, hey, that colleague has this cognitive distortion. That definitely would happen, but we will make conscious efforts. First, try to understand our own selves. Remember, only the third and the fourth step is understanding others and managing others. All right. So how many cognitive distortions? 8 to 10. Yeah. 8, if I see I'm managing the time not well, but if I'm managing it, then it's going to be 10 for sure. Look at the first cognitive distortion. Everyone, are you all able to see the screen? Look at the first cognitive distortion. This distortion is called overgeneralization. Look at the words on the picture. Always, never, all of them, none of them, everybody, nobody, all the time, none of the time. In Hindi, it would have been hamesha, sabhi. You know, what is it in Malayalam for these words? Always? Epome. Is it?
Eppodu, yes.
Eppodu, okay. Never. All of them. None of them. Now, I'll give you this one example, and then I want all of you to give, as many examples from our lives as possible. Imagine, maybe you are having a conversation with your sibling. Today, she seemed not to understand you at all. Anything that you say, she seems to say, it's not like that. I don't think so. Think about it. If you think, today my sister did not understand me, it hurts. You might still be angry. But the moment you think with these overgeneralized terms, she never understands me, or not just her, everyone in my family have never understood me. In one line of thought, you had 3 overgeneralizations. She never understands me, never. Not just her, not just today. Nobody understands me in this family anytime. Now you tell me, if you said she did not understand me today, would still be angry. But the moment you think with these 3 overgeneralizations, would your anger increase or decrease?
Increase.
Volume, come on. I think it's still 8:45 or 9 o'clock there. At 10 o'clock, I can imagine that the voices would reduce. But right now,
Increase.
anger would definitely increase. It would definitely increase, isn't it? Yeah. Or imagine a child being told, the child didn't eat what you cooked today. But usually, how do we talk to children? You never eat. And the child is like, without eating, did I put on this much weight? Or you never do your homework. And the child is like 5th standard. Do you think I would have reached this level just like that without doing the homework? You give me certain examples of how overgeneralizations can cause you emotional distress. You can either unmute and tell me, or you please put it on the chat mode. Any mode, but we need to interact. Come on.
Why does everything happen to me?
Yeah. Everything goes wrong only with me. Why does it happen only with me?
Nobody
And
listens to me.
yeah, Dr. Jagati, you're saying something, ma'am?
Nobody listens to me.
Yeah, nobody listens to me. And the feelings of sadness sometimes will mimic depression because of these overgeneralizations. Imagine with colleagues, don't we use overgeneralizations and make our own life miserable? Or sometimes with family members? See, like I said, there is no disorder without a distortion. Now think about it, suicides. Don't you think it's an outcome of overgeneralized thoughts? Recently, a journalist contacted and he was talking about how just last year in India, more than 6,000 students have attempted suicide, it seems, and died by suicide. 6,000. And mostly because of academic reasons, or at least that is as documented. Imagine a child failed in one subject. If the child thought, yes, I have failed in one subject, it still hurts. And for all you know, it might motivate the child to study subsequently for other tests. But can you give me an example of how overgeneralization can make this child who's failed in an exam feel so miserable that the child sees that my whole life is pointless? Can you give me what could be that thought?
I'm no good, or the parents will say you are no good. So then it goes to the child's head.
Absolutely. I might be no good in maths. Possible that I'm no good in maths, but you're no good in anything, in everything. Or even the child at times can internalize these thoughts, right? So therefore, think about it. Overgeneralization leads to increase in the intensity of negative emotions. Are you all okay? Now, I want you to ask yourself, you need not share, yeah, but reflect. Each of you said a particular emotion I find it difficult to manage at the beginning of the session, isn't it? Now, just ask yourself, are you finding it difficult because somewhere there is an overgeneralization? If not, maybe there's going to be one other or some other distortion. But think, do you have a tendency to overgeneralize? I want you to please think. And sometimes my specialization in my master's is marital and family therapy. Sometimes, when couple come to counseling, I can challenge, and I'll challenge you also, which is you cannot have a fight without overgeneralizations hurled at each other. You cannot have a fight. Even if you decide to fight, but you decide not to use overgeneralizations, a fight will become a discussion. But the discussion will become a fight when there are overgeneralizations. For example, let's say a couple, I'm taking a heterosexual, the couple in a heterosexual relationship. Now, let's say the couple had decided to go out, maybe at 7 o'clock. The husband reaches home and then the wife is not ready. Yeah. How are usually the interactions? You're always late. Tell me how else the response would be. I'm always late because nobody helps me in this home. Oh, it's not just you. Everybody in your family is late and they don't keep up the words. And the other person says, it's what? Why are you talking about my family? Every one of your gender only is like this. Now you see what just happened? What started off as a matter of being late became the war of gender, war of families. So you see, that's how conflicts escalate. Now let's talk without overgeneralization. The sentence won't be, you're always late. It's going to be, why are you late? Yeah, I could not get ready because I did not find help. And yeah, I had to spend a lot of time getting some household chore done. Okay, can you get ready now? Yes, I can. Move on. But then the moment there is overgeneralizations, discussions become fights for sure. Are you all okay with this? Yeah, any one last example and then we move on. Overgeneralization. Or let me ask you, those of you who cook, let's say you cooked something. One day the salt was more in that avial or something. How is the feedback given sometimes? Tell me, using overgeneralization.
You make it always salty.
Yeah, always salty.
Or there is a funny dialogue as well, like, are you trying to induce heart attack in me?
You see, yeah. There is something called magnification, catastrophization, cognitive distortion. That's what that is. Yeah. So now, like Dr. Jagati said, always making food salty. And the next time the person goes, feels like putting an entire jar of it inside, no? Because who cooks everything in a salty manner? It just happened by chance. So the first cognitive distortion that I want all of us to become aware of is overgeneralization, because whatever be the negative emotion, no, overgeneralization will intensify it. Are you all okay with this? Yeah. Can I move on to the next cognitive distortion, which is mind reading? What's this mind reading? What do you think mind reading is? I know what others are thinking about. Imagine in your workplace, or if you're a student, two colleagues maybe were laughing, and the moment you entered, they stopped laughing. What's our immediate thought process at times? Now, I don't want to mind read you all. I want all of you to share it. And then
Just saying something about me, something bad about
They're talking about me.
yes, you see, same script, irrespective of where we are, the script seems to be the same. The tendency to negatively read what others are thinking about us. The understanding is 90+% of time, our misunderstandings are because of mind reading. All the more, it's like a catch-22 situation. We mind read those with whom we have conflicts. And we will have conflicts with the moment you mind read. So mind reading is misleading and it leads to misunderstanding. And ask yourself, who do you generally mind read? People that we have problems with, isn't it? Maybe someone that we are dating or married to, or sometimes our children, spouse, colleagues. Mind reading sometimes would give rise to anxiety that's completely baseless, possible. Yeah. So mind reading is anybody here with social anxiety. The bet is that you're mind reading people's mind. Anyone with social anxiety has a tendency to mind read. Ask yourself, is there mind reading, the tendency in you? Sometimes, no, we don't just stop with mind reading. For example, let's say morning, maybe 9 o'clock at home, maybe there was a conflict, let's say, and you have to leave home to reach your workplace on time. So the conversation has ended abruptly. Now, maybe sitting in our office or wherever we work, you're thinking, okay, evening, I'll go back. That person will tell this. For that, I'm going to respond this. That person's reply is that. My response is this. It's like you've written the entire movie script without knowing what the dialogue of the other person is going to be. We just didn't stop with mind reading. We also mind dialogued. And maybe you ring the doorbell, they open the door. Your facial expression is already changed. Why? Because you had an imaginary mind dialogue where the person spoke to you in a manner that didn't go well with you. And does that person know the mind dialogues you gave to that person? No. And the person was like, why are you upset with me? And then you know the mind dialogues you had, no? So our brain does not differentiate between what is actual and what's perceived and imagined. So therefore, mind reading is misleading and it leads to misunderstanding. And any of us here, who has a tendency to mind read, I want you to make a list of those people that we mind read more. See, sometimes, look at this interesting observation. The longer we are in a relationship, the longer we are related to someone. Say, for example, it could be the spouse or it could be our children. Yeah. Imagine somebody might be like, 20 years I'm married. What more do I have to know with you opening your mouth? I just know whatever you are thinking. Just a tendency that I know you. You need not even, but what do we know? Or with our children, I have brought you up and I know what you think. No, unlikely. So mind reading leads to misunderstanding and it causes a whole lot of emotional distress. Can we please be careful about it? Yeah. And I see a comment on the chat mode. Yeah, so my charge and manager, you mind read often. Now that's the awareness. And now, think about it. Because we mind read, there's a preconceived notion about the person. And then for all you know, we might not manage the person better. But this realization is fundamental. Remember, like I said, the first step to be emotionally intelligent is understanding and managing our own selves. So now that we know this, can we please be careful? Are you all okay? Yeah, can I quickly move on to the next? So my slides got stuck and let me go to the third cognitive distortion. The third cognitive distortion is what's called, look at this, personalization. Personalization. What's personalization? There are two interpretations. All things go wrong only with me, or all things go wrong because of me. You're okay with this? Personalization is a tendency to think things go wrong only with me. See, I work with survivors of abuse and violence, especially dating violence, domestic violence. A lot of times survivors believe They are the only ones who are abused, and they keep quiet on the matter, thinking there's nobody else who's going through something that I'm going through. Personalizing it. I'm the only one going through it. And then we don't open up and share and seek help. Can you give me examples where we think that things are going wrong only with me? How many of you have felt that the day it got delayed, for you to leave home is the day that there is more traffic jam? I don't know where all of you are, if traffic jam is a concern, but is there anybody here who thinks that the day it got delayed for me at home is the day that, the traffic jam was terrible? Or the day, if I don't know the taxi booking apps at the US, but let's say in India, the day I want to go somewhere, the Uber cab driver keeps canceling it. He does not know you need to go somewhere, but you're already upset, and personalizing is going to make you even more miserable. Or the day you're trying so hard to focus is the day that everyone at your home are yelling and screaming. Does that happen? The day you're trying so hard to focus, that day people want to keep wanting your attention. I'm not saying everyone would have. Each of us might have one cognitive distortion as our favorite, but see which one is that. Yeah. So personalization, the one interpretation is things go wrong only with me. The other one is things go wrong because of me. The moment, maybe your mom says, I have a headache, thinking that did I tell her something that gave her a headache? You see that? I must have done something, that situation is unmanageable. The most common example that I've seen is of parents, okay? I don't know. Reflect. Sometimes I've seen mothers, fathers telling their adolescent kids, you know why you are the way you are? It's because I brought you up like this. And the child is like, yeah, mama, that's true. I am the way I am because of whatever you did. Now you see what just happened? Personalization is like giving a revolver and saying, shoot me. People may shoot. Isn't it personalization for a mother to say, you are the way you are because of me? Another child says, yeah, absolutely. I always knew. Overgeneralization. So personalization. See, the first topic of how somebody might think things go wrong only with me. Can you say which feelings, negative emotions will increase? The moment people think that things go wrong only with me, which emotions become unmanageable?
Sadness.
Sadness, depression.
Anger.
Yeah, anger. See, the sense of victimhood becomes high, isn't it? I am the victim. Or let's say the moment you think things go wrong because of me, which is the emotion that gets intensified? G. It starts with G. This emotion.
Guilt.
Guilt. Absolutely. And in the realm of psychology, we say guilt is the parent of all negative emotions. Anger you can manage, sadness we can master to manage, but guilt, it's so toxic. And personalization makes that more and more. What do you think is the opposite of personalization? This is putting it all on our head.
Blaming.
Blaming others.
Absolutely. Some people may also have the cognitive distortion of blaming. Here, everything is me, 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 me. I am to be blamed. And there might be somebody who's like, anything goes wrong, you are to be blamed. Isn't it? And in between personalization and blaming, see, the technical term for blaming is exteriorization. Exteriorization is everything is outside of me. There is something in between. What's that? That's ideal. It starts with R and ends with Y. It's like I'm playing hangman with all of you. Yeah. What's that? Personalization is taking everything on your head. Exteriorization is dump it all on someone. What's in between? That's where we must be. It's ideal. The The word begins with R and ends with Y. And when I say the word, you're like,
Reality.
reality, no.
Reasonability.
Reasonability, no.
Responsibility.
Yes. Who said responsibility?
Asha.
Nice. Very happy. Yeah, it's responsibility, isn't it? Responsibility is to say, hey, till this it's on me. But beyond this, it's not on me. It's also boundary setting, no? Have you seen people who are submissive have a tendency to personalize? And people who are aggressive have a tendency to exteriorize? Yes. And people who are assertive will take responsibility to the extent that it is theirs. Beyond that, they are like, this isn't mine. The boundary is set. So therefore, quickly, the third cognitive distortion is personalization, and the fourth one is exteriorization. Are you all okay with this? So far, we've learned 4 cognitive distortion. Which one have you noticed more in you? Can you put it on the chat box? Think it's possible that none. I don't want to overgeneralize and then say everyone will have. Then you will say, ma'am, that's your cognitive distortion. I don't want to risk that. Yeah. But do you have any? Do you have any? Have you seen any cognitive distortion in others? No?
I think I have a little of everything.
You have little of everything. Okay. Overgeneralization seems to top the list. Personalization, mind reading. Good. That realization is fundamental. All right. Let me move on to the 5th one. The 5th one is labeling. Labeling. I want you to remember this, the metaphor. Yeah. Look at this. Our brain is like a sponge. You tell me the sponge, you pour distilled water on it, it absorbs. You pour gutter water on it, it absorbs. Does the sponge differentiate? No, somewhere there is equality. It absorbs everything. Very similar to the sponge is our brain. It absorbs anything that it has been fed by others or by you. Are you all okay with this? Now you tell me the labels that maybe people have given to us or we have given to our own selves. See, the labels are like, hey, I'm good for nothing. I'm a lazy fellow, I tell you. You see those labels? Sometimes these are the words that we identify ourselves with. Can you think of examples? Now, also think, do you have a tendency to label others also? Stop acting like a monkey. You see, those are labels. Give me examples of labels, everyone. Come on. When you give me an example, I want mind read that you are using that label. Yeah.
No, like
that?
sometimes you tell kids, oh, I've heard parents say, oh, he's so stupid.
He's so stupid. Look at that. He's so stupid. And brain is like a sponge. Maybe to begin with, when a child hears, my mom called me stupid, it hurt. After 5 years of being called stupid, somebody is talking about stupidity. The child is like, did you call me? You see, the brain absorbs. Have you seen sometimes initially, maybe someone labeled us something, it hurt. But over a period of time, sometimes we got used to it. Look at the many examples on the chat mode. Wonderful. Jeanette says, lazy, you're just a girl. Gender-based, derogatory, the labels, we need to fight that. Judgmental, I'm such a failure. You're a burden to the family. You're so dumb, not smart. All of these are definitely labels. And I'm sure in our regional languages, labels are even more colorful. Yes or no? At least I know in Kannada, there are certain labels that are so damaging. Yeah. Let me ask you this. See, all of what we just said are toxic labels. Okay? Toxic labels. But it seems there is one label that's more toxic than the rest. Which word do you think that is? And once again, hangman time. It starts with U and ends with Y.
Ugly.
No.
Mhm.
No. Let me tell you the number of letters.
It starts with
Seven,
U.
and
Starts with
ends with
U.
Y. Yes, yes.
Um,
So what's the question? The question is all of what we
Positive
have
tag.
said. Huh, ma'am?
Positive tag, right?
This is negative tags, labels. And this is more toxic than every other label. It starts with U, ends with Y. UNL, anything comes to your mind? UNL.
Unlucky.
Yes, yes, yeah. The word is unlucky. Why do you think the label of unlucky is more toxic than anything? Think about it. Think about it. If we have labeled ourselves to be, let's say I'm an idiot, I can do something to not be idiot. Maybe I'll become smart. But the moment it's the matter of luck, it's not even in my hand. This is
You
what we call
stop
external.
working.
Yeah.
You
Yeah. We
stop
stop
working
working.
for anything. Yeah.
Absolutely. So unlucky, thanks Reshma ma'am for that. Unlucky is more toxic because it's not even internal locus. It's external. Like MK says, it is not even in our hands to change.
And I think in an Indian context, coming
Yeah.
being Indians, we attach luck to most of the things,
Absolutely.
entering a
Yes.
house, entering a job, first time going for an interview,
Correct.
everything is associated with luck, and so
So true.
it
Yeah.
has more power,
Absolutely.
impact on individuals.
Yeah.
And I
And
think
imagine,
it's
yeah.
God
Yes, Judy.
too. I think it's related with God too. Luck and God goes hand in hand. Like you're not blessed, so things are going wrong in your life.
Look at that.
That's
Look
another.
at that. Yes. So absolutely. And think of brain, like I said, mind is a sponge. The more we soak it with a particular label, it's not going to be the devil's advocate and ask you to debate. It says, yes, whatever you say, I'm going to accept it. So labeling is one of the most common cognitive distortions. And if we have a tendency, we better be detecting it and, discarding it. Now, let me ask a few questions to you regarding, the labeling. So the first one, let's say, I'll make two sentences, okay? And you should tell me which sentence is better. Yeah. The first sentence, let's say I'm thinking, yeah, or somebody is telling me, Ashwini, what an idiot you are. Okay. The first sentence is, Ashwini, what an idiot you are. And Arsha seems to nod. Come on, Arsha, I'm not an idiot. Arsha is like, yeah. Okay. So Ashwini, what an idiot you are. The second sentence is, let's say it's my mom telling, the other day, the way you were speaking to that group was idiotic. Which is a better sentence? Ashwini, what an idiot you are. The other one is, the other day, the way you were speaking to that group. The second one. What made it better?
Because it's not about the person, it's about
Yes.
the situation.
Yes. So, like Arsha pointed it out, if our love for labels are too difficult to let go, let us label the behavior of the person, not the person. Think about it. If I was a child, or I mean, not just children, right? Adults also. Imagine somebody says, Ashwini, you're an idiot. Hey, top to bottom, where shall I change? Deal with me. I am like this. As opposed to somebody gives me a specific feedback that day, what you said was idiotic. I'm still receptive of the fact that, yes, I was an idiot that day, but the opportunity to rectify increases, isn't it? So similarly, when we self-talk, can we differentiate? Because labels won't easily go, but let's not label ourselves. Let's critically label our behavior. That's still fine. So can we remember this? Yeah, because we're talking about both understanding and managing ourselves using cognitive distortion. And the time is also just ticking away with mind of its own. Yeah, I'm just trying to, bring in as much as, the possible here. So now the other idea, let me ask you. So far, we've only spoken about negative labels. Is positive labels okay? What are your thoughts? You're awesome.
No, sometimes positive tags are also
Not exactly positive.
Yes, not productive.
Yeah.
Not productive. For example, this was shared to me by a parent, okay? It seems this parent has a tendency to call, his daughter princess. It's a label. You are my princess. The child loved it. The next day, the father is asking, go clean your room. I'm the princess. I don't clean my room. I'm the princess. See, and also positive labels at times overwhelms anyone. You're brilliant. That means there is no scope for errors, as opposed to the other day, the assignment you submitted was brilliant. This is any day better, right? And also sometimes positive labels will make people become complacent. I am brilliant as such, so what? I'm done. So it's like what increment we had to get in a year, in 2 years, we got it in 1 day. You're brilliant. And now what more? There are no more superlatives. So labels are to be detected. Some of us have a tendency to label ourselves more, but some of us get way too creative when it comes to labeling others. Whatever be it, please become aware, so we can, work towards ensuring it's eliminated. Are you all okay so far, everyone? Yeah. I'll
Yes.
quickly move on to the next cognitive distortion, which is dichotomous thinking. Dichotomous thinking is also known as black and white thinking. Are you all okay with this? Dichotomous thinking is also known as black and white thinking. This is thinking in extremes or thinking in a comparative manner. Like my ex-boss was awesome, my present boss is terrible. Are they species of two different kinds? You see how we put it? Black and white, black and white. Yeah. Or my elder son, my God, he listens to me. But the youngest one, oh my God, I often wonder if there are ears there. You see, such polarized view. And life is in between, no? Or sometimes, I've heard this, oh, life before marriage, phenomenal. And after that, oh my God, it's tension, tension everywhere. I mean, life had its tension before also, after also. But when we are thinking in a dichotomous manner, our emotions just get intensified for no good reason. Can you give me any other example of dichotomous thinking? It's like our emotions is like a pendulum.
There are so many jokes which go around, right? See, this is my life after marriage, and they show these comical cartoons, and so it is like, yeah.
And what do? You are married. You made a choice.
Yes.
And now, because of a dichotomous thinking, sometimes, or sometimes the way we tell ourselves, after my child was born, I don't know what sleep is. Are 2 days if you went without sleep, your body would show. Yes, the sleep reduced, but I don't know what sleep is. That's an extreme version of black and white. And it makes sleep even more difficult because of polarized thinking. Poles. The other thing, the other example of the dichotomous thinking could also be, say, I'll give you one example. I'm getting permission from my mother to give this example. Growing up, I was a single child. I didn't have siblings. So, during holidays, I would go to cousins' place and, during holidays and come back. My mother would say, before you went to your Dodama is like her elder sister. Before you went to your aunt's place, you were listening to me, but now you're not listening. It's like my life got divided into AD and BC, no? BC and AD. It's like before holidays, after holidays. Sometimes children also, we talk like that, no? Before marriage, you listened to me. After that, you forgot about me. All of those. Dichotomous thinking, it gives rise to an unexpected version of reality in our brains. Can we please be careful about dichotomies? The other common example is New Year resolutions. It's like, if I work out, I'll work out every day. One day if I miss, we can restart it. No, but do we do that sometimes? No.
Same with diet.
Yeah, same with diet. If I do it perfectly, 100 on 100, if not nothing at all. But why? 50% is still better than nothing. 70% of diet is still better than 0% of that. So this is all or nothing thinking. If I love someone, I'll die for them. But if I don't like them, I won't care at all. You see the extremes of it? Can we please be careful? Are we all okay so far? A quick revision. Overgeneralization, mind reading, personalization, exteriorization, labeling, dichotomous thinking. Now, quickly, I think we're spending a lot of time in understanding our own selves. There's also understanding others. So quickly, look at this. Look at this. Magnification and minimization. Magnification. You know, I don't know, in Hindi, somebody told me this. Rai ko pahad banana. Making a mountain out of a molehill. Magnification. Remember earlier what Reshma ma'am said? Arey, thoda sa salt. Zyada ho gaya. You're trying to kill me, no? You're trying to kill me with your feedback. I'm the one cooking every day. You see what just happened? Magnifies. Catastrophization. Magnification is catastrophization. Some of us have a tendency, any of us with anxiety issues, have a tendency to catastrophize. During COVID, imagine, yes, I mean, COVID was a catastrophe only, but some of us catastrophized even more than what it was. One sneeze, I'm dying. And then BP increased, immunity dropped. You see, magnification is catastrophization. Are you all okay? Yeah, Manoj, you're absolutely right. I was just about to give a similar example. You have a headache, it must be a brain tumor. This is called a disorder, I mean, in mental health, called hypochondriasis. A skin rash, oh yeah, whoa, skin cancer. And there is something called cyberchondriasis. What is cyberchondriasis?
Checking
you
out
go
on Google.
Yes, you know, you go Google and Google will definitely catastrophize. Right side headache. There's a chance of brain tumor. Done. The whole night couldn't sleep. You know, panic attacks. So like Manoj is rightly pointing it out, this is definitely an outcome of catastrophization, otherwise called magnification. And it makes a person feel, yeah, very miserable. Yeah, the opposite, or maybe I can't go without giving this example. It was so funny when I heard it. Now just listen to this, and I hope it's not happening with you guys. This is, there's this place in Karnataka called Dharwad. I was conducting a parents workshop. See, I believe that at the root of many mental health concerns is parenting related issues. So I invest a lot of time with parents. Now, one mother gave an example of magnification. Think about it. A second standard child, so must be 7 years, and the mother. Is there a cartoon called Augie and the Cockroach, or Augie the Cockroach? I don't know. Yeah. So this child is watching Augie and the Cockroach, I think. Yeah, I might be wrong. Augie and the Cockroach. The mother has casually asked, give me. There's this program called Big Boss, right? Give me the remote. The child obviously has not given the remote. Okay. The child is like, nah, mama, I'm watching it, something like that. The next thing, you know what she has said? You're 7 years. I asked for remote. You've not given me. And when I'm dying, when I'm old, you won't come to me to see in the hospital. And the child is like, what? You're 7 years. You don't give me the remote. And you know, when I'm old, you'll throw me out of the house. Really? You see, isn't that magnification? If anything, you gave ideas to this child that the child didn't have before. Extreme catastrophization. Some of us have a tendency for impact, for dialogue impact, we make these sentences. Can we please know that it impacts our own emotions? And the child is like, hey, go. I mean, now that you have said the very worst, what more should I hear? Now I won't give the remote. You know, at least if he has given me, no, I too need to watch, maybe the child would have given, but now go, you've decided, right? Go. Now you see, magnification is just so not okay for your own health and also relational health. Yeah. Now we'll look at the opposite of it, minimization. Reshma ma'am, from time to time, tell me the timings because I know I have a tendency. Yeah. Yes. This is called getting carried away, So 7, 15, I may take 5 minutes more. Look at minimization. Minimization is the opposite of magnification. I'm dying, truly dying of heart attack. No, it's just an acidity. I won't die of heart attack. I have a rock heart. Just acidity. Minimization. And working in the domain of abuse and violence prevention, I've seen it so many times. Children who are sexually abused tell us, ma'am, I told my mom, I tried telling, but no, they didn't listen to me. Yeah, imagine a parent came home, the child is like, Mama, I want to tell you something. The parent is like, what do you want to tell? It's not something that can easily be shared, right? Maybe the child is struggling. Go every time it's the same thing. You see, minimization. Minimization is also called trivialization. Something requires attention and we are not giving it. Minimization. Or the way a student prepares for an exam in the last minute, right? When we begin scheduling our timetable, one chapter is 5 hours. The day before the exam, in 5 minutes, I can complete a chapter. Just that feeling is there. Trivialization. Or how we hold discussions, no? Married late, let's say for 15 years. What a big deal. We have a conflict, but what is the necessity of resolving? We've come this far. But the quality of the relationship, won't it suffer? Or with mental health, maybe there are symptoms of depression. Maybe there are symptoms of anxiety. Maybe there are symptoms of trauma, but not seeking medical help, all because of a tendency to minimize. Are you all okay with this? Can we please be careful in, detecting if we have these cognitive distortions? Yeah, like CBT is saying, it's challenging. You cannot have a human problem without any of these distortions. That's the challenge. Yeah. Now look at the happy news. Look at the last cognitive distortion. Not the last slide or the last thing I'm going to talk about, just the last cognitive distortion called emotional reasoning. Emotional reasoning is what? Mistaking feelings as fact. What is emotional reasoning? Mistaking feelings as fact. What does it mean? Everyone listen. I'll give you examples and then we will reflect. Imagine you're a teacher. Yeah. Research studies show that children get yelled at for talking more during afternoons than mornings. Especially more during summers than the cozy, the winter. More when a teacher had to climb up 3 floors than when the classroom is on the ground floor. Does that mean students were like angels, during the ones who were on the ground floor or during winters? I'm talking about Indian summer without electrical fan or things in, So the teacher is yelling more during summer. Why? Because see, the sense of irritation that the teacher is feeling because it's hot and the teacher had to climb, 3 floors, there was no lift, that made the teacher feel that the children are annoying more In fact, the children were the same. The ground floor also, morning also. So you see, emotional reasoning is that, or for that matter, I know I see men here, but it clearly seems the majority are women. What about the premenstrual syndrome? Maybe the spouse is the same, annoying all seasons of the year. But during PMS, they're even more annoying. It feels like that. That's emotional reasoning. Isn't it? Isn't it emotional reasoning? But when we lose that perspective, a lot of conflicts may emerge. I'll give you another simple example, something that I dealt with, I think 3-4 years ago. This person, you tell me when there is hyperthyroidism, what generally happens? What are the symptoms of hyperthyroidism?
Getting
Get
fat.
irritated, so energetic, you're irritated most.
Oh,
Putting on
there
weight.
is putting
There
on
is
weight,
weight loss
restless.
rather than weight gain for hyperthyroidism. You have irritability.
Yeah.
Irritability,
You
restlessness is
your
very high.
restlessness, you'll be running
Right.
around. Yeah.
Absolutely. Think about it. I'm just giving an example of restlessness. Restlessness is because of hyperthyroidism. And there was an interpretation, this person joined the job. The person was restless at home, at job. The person's emotional reasoning was, I am restless because I hate the job. In 1 year, he has changed 4 jobs, all because he's restless. And in his imagination, an ideal job would make me not be restless. But then why is there restlessness? Because of hyperthyroidism. A simple blood checkup revealed that there is hyperthyroidism. And even without realizing, once the medications were taken, the restlessness reduced, and suddenly the feeling that I love my job emerged. So you see how that was an emotional reasoning. The restlessness is a feeling which the person made it a fact by telling, I feel restless because I hate my job. And job hopping. So sometimes it's possible that we are mistaking feelings for facts. And that is definitely a distorted perception. Are you all okay with this? I hope you like cognitive distortions, because this is like the building blocks of all, the problems. Now we've understood it. Imagine we've understood ourselves, I'm hoping, to an extent that the time has permitted. But this has to be an inquiry throughout. Now, how do we manage it? I wish to leave you all with a formula called 4D formula. Okay? 4D formula. What is this 4D formula? The first thing is we need to detect it. Detect. The second one is debate. In mental health, it's not the question of the right and the wrong. Is it a right thought, the wrong thought? No. Is it a thought that's helping me? Is it a thought that's not helping me? Are you all okay with this? So the first is detect your thought. And let's say there is a cognitive distortion, detect it. Then debate. Is the way I'm thinking, is it helping me? Not helping me. The next thing is decide. If it is helping you, you keep it. If it is not helping you, if that's your decision, what can be the fourth D? Give me a word. What will you do? If it is not helping you, what will you do? And because it's 4D, it should start with D.
Detach.
Decline.
Detach. Drop, delete, dump it, ditch it, decline it, destroy it, do whatever you want, but just get it out of your system. Are you all okay with this? The only way, trust me, when clients come for counseling, this is exactly the process sometimes we take them through. Yeah, help them detect cognitive distortions, debate, decide, and discard. And life gets better. Are you all okay with this? Can I quickly move on to the next topics? And my skill of editing comes now. I hope so. One second. Now let's go to understanding and managing others. Can you all see? Oh, I don't know. Are you all able to see it? No, is it?
Yes, now we can see.
Okay, okay.
But it's a previous slide.
Okay, one second.
Yeah.
Can you
now-
all see this now? What do you see? Understanding and managing others. For understanding and managing oneself, we have learned cognitive distortion. Bindia has, put it on the chat mode: detect, debate, decide, destroy. And I'm taking an idea from Manoj, and let's make it 5D. What is the 5D? After you have destroyed the cognitive distortion, you choose a different thought that is helping you, maybe. Yeah, just choose a different thought that's helping you. All right, fine then. So now let's look at, understanding and managing others. Now for understanding others, I don't know why my slides are getting stuck. My God. Okay. For understanding others, I wish to introduce all of you to the different listening styles. Are you all okay? Different listening styles. See, I'm just thinking, if at all I'm editing, I'm like, hey, I have 4 more weeks, 5 more days that I'll be, meeting. But everything that I have in mind, I think in those 5 the sessions, I'll definitely be covering. Look at this. These are the different listening styles. 6 different styles. The first 5 are not going to help us understand others well. Only the last one is going to help us understand others well. Yeah, they say, there is no problem that cannot be fixed with listening. Trust me, as psychologists, if it's, let's say, some 8 years of training or something, a good 4 years of our training would be on listening only, nothing else. This is not to trivialize, that's all we do, but that's all that's needed to be done sometimes for people to heal. Look at the first one, the preoccupieds. Who are these people? You keep talking, I will do my own thing. Sometimes our family members do it. You're talking there on the mobile. You've just said and the person is asking the same question. And that really upsets us many times. Preoccupied listening simply means something else is happening in the background, on the mind, the background. You tell me, if we are preoccupied listeners, how would it make others feel? Can they respect us?
They feel ignored.
They feel ignored. If anything, they also feel let down and cheated, isn't it? Preoccupieds are not even telling, I cannot listen to you right now. They're pretending. Sometimes when I was teaching, master's students of psychology, I would say the preoccupied students are the ones who would nod more. You look at them, they're nodding away to glory. Yes, yes, yes. And Yeah. So the preoccupieds. I'm going quickly. The next, and they will never be able to understand people. They lose information because they're preoccupied. The next one is the interrupters. Who are these interrupters? Rather than listening, it's like their expression, really? They would say, really? Oh my God. The other person should be like, oh my God, what did I say that elicited that response? Or asking, well, wait. I want to ask you this. The other person feels it's like, a bump on the road, right? I want a smooth travel, but no, my questions would make me apply brake to their narration. People, when they feel interrupted, they want to interrupt whatever they want to tell you also. They will edit. Yeah. So let's ask ourselves, do I have a tendency to interrupt? Not a good listening style. Then let's look at the third one. The third one is the combatives. Who do you think the combatives are?
Who argue a lot?
Yeah. Whatever you ask them, their response or listening is argumentative. They are in a combative mode. Imagine I ask Reshma ma'am, how are you? What's there to talk about this, ma'am? Life is so, you see, I mean, something, it's the energy that they bring is that of, oh, the other person must be like, I need to be careful. It's like sometimes, I know media house worldwide could be, but there are certain news channels in India. They bring guests on shows to just fight and send them back teary-eyed. I'm not taking names, but if you have seen it, you know what I'm talking. The combatives, the combative journalists. They have not invited people to get their perspective, instead to put them down and then send them back. Combative listening is no listening at all. And then there are those, the whatevers. Who are these whatevers? I am done listening. In a way, they are better than the preoccupieds, because the preoccupieds are giving an impression that they are listening, but the whatevers are clearly telling, I don't care. Sometimes parents have a whatever listening style with children. Sometimes we have whatever listening style with the spouse or with our colleagues, and they clearly get an indication that you don't care. Sometimes, it's not a judgment, yeah, but sometimes, let's say we are tired. We assume the whatever listening style, no? Or maybe you only met whatevers in your life. You only received such response from people. So you're reciprocating it. So I don't want you to think the ones with the whatever listening style are terrible or anything. No, maybe they're just tired, or maybe they're just angry. But either which way, we cannot understand others. Yeah. And then we have the analysts. Who do you think the analysts are? Critical. They listen, but they only listen to the facts, not understand the emotions. Imagine you're telling about something so emotional. They'll ask you a factual question, and you're like, that's all you got from it? The analysts don't pay attention to the implicit emotions, technical. Yeah. You know, my teacher yelled at me. Maybe somebody said, my teacher yelled at me and I could not lift my head up. Yeah. Which subject teacher was it? Not paying attention to the emotions, but then the facts of it. We don't feel understood, isn't it? So the last one, which is truly something that helps, which is the engagers. The engagers are those who truly are present to listen to the others. See, sometimes, yeah, Arsha says analysts are the worst. Sometimes we feel that they are taking a lot more from our brains than what we are telling. And we are like, I don't want to take that risk. The engagers listen, not just to what is explicitly stated, but also the underlying emotions. They just pay attention. They ask questions when relevant. They're not nosy. They don't interrupt. Much more than anything, they're genuinely there. The engagers at time might even say, you know what, I'm very tired right now, but tomorrow morning shall we talk? And tomorrow they are present every which way, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally. So the first step towards becoming emotionally intelligent with others, that means in relationships, is listening, isn't it? Yeah. Which one annoys you the most? Can you put it on the chat mode? Which listening annoys you the most? Because I won't ask you which is the annoying listening style you have. You know, that's too much of self-disclosure, that I'm asking. Yeah, the interrupters. You see, if we are getting irritated by interrupters, pretenders, now if we are that, can we be emotionally intelligent with others? We can't. Yeah. See, now I know it's 7:31 and I'm hoping that all of you would be generous to give me maybe 5-6 minutes more. Therefore, you remember at the beginning itself, I had said I have an academic background, syllabus not completed. No
We would
extra
love to
class,
have
but at
more
least
time with you.
extra time. Yeah. Okay. You don't know, Reshma ma'am, I get way too encouraged with these lines. So don't tell me that more time is truly more time. What happened to your dinners? I'm a bit worried. It's 10 o'clock right there in some places, no? Okay. So now there was one topic that I wanted to, but that takes more time. Maybe on the day that I'll be talking about boundaries, I'll cover that. Now, maybe as a way to talk about managing others, I'll go to assertiveness because that's the best way to manage others. Now, everyone, look at this. There are, at least in my view, 3 broad ways we could manage others or let other people manage us. Yeah. On one end, we have submissiveness. Okay. What is submissiveness? When it comes to boundaries, right? Do submissive people violate others' boundaries? No. So submissive individuals don't violate others. They're only listening to others, like Dr. Jagati is telling. Now, I want you to connect everything that we've learned so far. Submissive individuals do not violate others' rights. But unfortunately, when others try to violate their rights, do they know how to defend?
No.
They don't know how. They just don't know how to defend. So they don't know to manage others. They also don't know when others are violating their rights and boundaries. They don't know how to manage themselves also and others. So to be submissive is I let others violate my boundaries, and obviously I don't violate others' boundaries. Yeah. Is being submissive the best of way to manage relationships? Absolutely not. Cognitive distortion wise, tell me which cognitive distortions these submissive individuals may have. It starts with P.
Personalization.
Personalization.
Yes, personalization. Maybe I'm at fault. Maybe I did something. I'm always wrong. So many cognitive distortions may come. Now we'll go to the other extreme. What's the other extreme of submissiveness? Aggressiveness. Now, what is aggressiveness? I violate others' boundaries, but do I let others violate mine? No, I'm up in arms. Now, you see, they may have combative listening. They open their mouth, maybe they're magnifying. Maybe they open their mouth and they are overgeneralizing. Aggressive people who are on the aggressive side of managing relationships, they keep violating others' boundaries, but they don't let others violate their boundaries. Okay. But now there is something in between. What's that? Assertiveness. What is assertiveness? And this is the best way that we can manage people. What is assertiveness? Can we take, look at submissiveness, look at aggressiveness, and then assertiveness. In assertiveness, what happens? I don't violate others' rights. And at the same time, you tell me, and at the same time,
I don't allow
I
others.
don't violate.
Yes, I do not allow others to violate my rights. Isn't this the best way to manage relationship in every relationship? Does not matter which, professionally, personally. Sometimes I use this metaphor and I love this metaphor, which is let our interaction with others be like iron fist. It's an iron fist, but a velvet gloves. Iron fist in a velvet gloves. We are gentle, but we are also firm. Yeah. Imagine submissive people, only velvet gloves. People will bring them and then put it on the wash line. Only velvet gloves. What about aggressive people?
The iron fist.
Only iron fist. You hold their hand, they'll break the knuckles. So, but assertiveness is, I'm gentle, but at the same time, I'm firm. They're engaging listeners. Assertiveness, you can only be assertive by being socially intelligent. And we can only be socially intelligent by being emotionally intelligent. And we can be emotionally intelligent only after we have detected our cognitive distortions and eliminated it. See, imagine, I'm able to see some of you, so I'm just going to take, a name. Imagine a best friend of yours, maybe said both of you can go to a movie theater, a movie, and then that day she went with somebody else even without informing you. It hurts, isn't it? What do submissive individuals do? How will they manage the situation?
They think it's their fault.
They may think, yeah, maybe I'm not cool enough to go out, and therefore she went with someone. Or they may not even talk about it to the other person. No, they might just feel miserable with it. To tell that let's go and then to leave you and then to go with somebody else hurts, feels rejected. A submissive individual maybe will mind read, maybe will personalize, maybe will overgeneralize. Everyone will do like this, but they won't communicate. Aggressive individuals call, who do you think you are? You should I took half day leave and then this is what you do. The next time think about it now before you take. So you see what they're doing, but how do you think the assertive people would communicate? First, everyone listen to this. An assertive individual would always own up their feelings. For example, imagine if Dr. Jagati did this to me. Sorry, Dr. Jagati, you pitched me in the last minute for some movie. So let's say I say, Jagati, I felt very hurt when I realized you went for a movie with, Reshma without even informing me. Not that you need to inform me and then go about, your daily activity, but the fact that you had asked me, I felt hurt. And that day I was also quite upset. Can I request you not to tell me something and then just forget about it? So that other person does not take you for granted, no? So therefore, assertive communication is being vocal about our feelings and also asking the other person for reasons. What happened, Jagati? But not beginning with what happened, Jagati. Instead, first telling what you felt and then checking. But I would also like to know your perspective as to what happened. Are you all okay with this? So assertiveness ensures that we have owned up our feelings and communicated to the other person, and we're also willing to understand the emotions and thoughts of the other people. Yeah, and anytime I want you to remember the iron fist in a velvet blouse. Be that iron fist in a velvet, firm but gentle. Yeah, a child with a child, I'm angry that despite you promising me to get homework done, it's still not done. See, you're saying I'm angry. Parents who are on the aggressive side, your dad, all of you promising and not getting work done. You see, aggression would make submissive. Your homework, I can't break my head. Go. Whereas when you're assertive, you would say, I'm very upset. You don't say, we don't say, I'm very upset. I'm very angry. Telling I'm angry is more effective than showing it. Are you all okay with this? So one of the ways, simply what I could say is assertive individuals will work on their cognitive distortions. They will never say, you're always doing this, Jagati. You'll tell me one thing and you do the opposite, overgeneralization. Instead, assertive person would say, what? Jagati, in the last 5 years that I have known you, you've never done this. And the fact that I felt dumped, in the last minute, I felt hurt. You see, specific. Last 5 years, you've not done this. That's why I liked you. That's why I consider you as my friend. But today, when you did this, I'm hurt. Yeah, submissive person, it's okay, Jagati, once in a while it happens. What if it happens every time going forward? Would you be okay? So therefore, assertive means working on the cognitive distortions. Yeah, being vocal about our feelings, owning our experience, and also willing to check what the other person is going through. Are you all okay with this? Or at 10:10, in some of you where you are, it's 10:10. Are you all okay with anything at this point? You're hungry? The next time, please feel free to eat and listen, and I'll feel less guilty. Yeah, fine then. Any thoughts? See, and the day that we also have setting and defending boundaries, I'll elaborate even more on assertiveness, because this is the first session. This is a foundation. As long as all of us remember cognitive distortions, I'm happy. Also remember listening styles, also remember the rest, but cognitive distortions are the lead roles today. That I want you to remember. Any questions, anything that you want to say, ask?
So do this oscillate? Like there are moments when you feel like very submissive, whereas certain other point of time you are very aggressive, and there are times when you're reasonable. So is that a normal thing? Like a same person can go through the different.
Now the idea, ma'am, is there is something called, I'm using this as a strategy, or has it become my style? Imagine an assertive person may say, hey, I'm going to be aggressive because there is a deadline. You see, that means your style is assertive, but as a strategy, you're using aggressive style. Yeah.
Is
maybe
that
once
conscious?
in a while.
Are they doing it consciously, or is it just, depending upon the situation, you pick and choose?
Now, the idea, Reshma ma'am, is if at all they're doing it consciously, then they are safe. But they're doing it unconsciously. It's become a pattern, and then giving it a name that, no, once in a while I'm aggressive. But the others are like, it's not once in a while, you're mostly aggressive. Then it's a cover-up story. But my suggestion would be, there is usually not much that assertiveness cannot get done. When you are assertive, it's a safe zone to be. But sometimes as a tendency, sometimes people are submissive. As a tendency, people are aggressive. Now, that's something that we need to be watchful. Imagine the consequences of that. No? Imagine somebody is submissive. Even those neutral people can become aggressive towards them. So sometimes it's like in a family also, knowing that hey, she is submissive, somebody can become aggressive. What I have seen, especially working abuse violence. Please don't think that it's a stereotypical example that I'm giving. Sometimes I've met people, maybe in their 60s, telling, yes, I know I'm aggressive, but you know how I was treated when I was young. It's like sometimes they have waited for 30, 40 years of their life to think that I'm going to be aggressive and I'm going to turn tables. But what good did it do? Somebody victimized you and now you're victimizing somebody else. So instead, if we had aimed to become assertive, nobody's boundary got violated, life is better. So I think at the beginning, Suja ma'am had talked about empathy. See, sometimes what would happen is submissive individuals are more empathetic towards others than themselves. They only understand others' perspective, never their own perspective. Now, aggressive individuals would understand their own perspective and not others. Whereas an assertive person would say, I have self-empathy also and other empathy. I wish to understand my own perspective and present it, and I also wish to understand your perspective and see what needs to be done. So all that I'm saying is, for personal reflection, we could ask ourselves, generally, what am I? What's my style? Ask yourself. And the next question is, with who? Is there someone in particular I go on the submissive side? Is there anyone in particular? I'm on the aggressive. It's like the default mode, no? With some people, it's like the neural pathways is aggressive. It begins with A only sometimes for, particular. So you just watch out for that. You just watch out for that.
I have a question.
Yes.
Sorry.
No
Yeah.
problem,
So are submissive people, like if you take a person and that person, you can say in general is more submissive, are they more adjusting, do you think? Or
Yeah.
okay, so is that a negative thing to be more adjusting, or where do we draw the line?
I know. So now the idea is adjustment. It's fine as long as it's not causing distress, but constantly accommodating and compromising would make others always want you to adjust. Then for all you know, even you feel the distress. So it's like, say, for example, sometimes we adjust because we know it's for our own well-being and there is no distress. The time you think that I'm the only one adjusting, and why am I adjusting? It's not even doing me any good. It's time to rethink whether you really have to adjust. Because trust me, we are creatures of habit. We are creatures of habit. The more adjusting, it's actually adapting, right? We all remember Darwin.
Yeah.
The strongest is the one who can adapt. Adaptation is fine because adaptation is for our well-being. Whereas sometimes adjusting is for others and they want the entire responsibility of adjustment only on you. Then now it's time to be assertive. So all that I'm saying is adjusting, it's a life skill. We know so many people rigid and they can't, survive in different situations. So that line between am I adjusting out of habit and is it because others are demanding it, or am I adapting for my own well-being? Maybe that's the marker that should determine how we are going forward, which is distress, personal distress. I'm sure all of us, certain points in time when we've adjusted, we know it's contributed to our well-being. Then good, you've adapted. But there have been times we've adjusted to things that has absolutely not contributed to our, well-being. Then why? See, people who are on the submissive side, no, Shubha ma'am, they wouldn't even ask, why should I? Why not others? Like I said, how we are creatures of habit, we are so making others become, adjusted to the idea that, hey, she will adjust, he will adjust, why bother? Now we are making others creatures of habit by our adjusting. So think about it. And aggressive people never adjust. Hey, you adjust, they will demand. Assertive ones will see, I will adjust provided I'm convinced of its need. The choice is still there in their hand. Thanks for that question.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? I hope, I'm mind reading. I hope you're not messaging each other and say, what, it's already late, don't ask her any more questions, somewhere on a private WhatsApp group. If there are, somebody, Manoj is asking, Dr. Jagati, which movie did you go to without Dr. Ashwini? I know.
So I have a question. I know you talked about submissiveness, assertiveness, aggression, but there is this, when you try to talk about the situation that you had between you and Jagati, where would a confrontation become? Where would that come? Like, would it fall more on the assertive side or the aggressive side?
Aggressive side.
Okay.
So even in counseling, right? We don't call it confrontation. To just make, it's a confrontation sounds like an iron fist, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, iron fist in a velvet gloves. It's called empathetic confrontation.
Because I hear that word confrontation. It's more used here. I don't know, maybe more than India here. People say, I don't like to confront. But people are not understanding that you don't have to confront. You can be assertive.
Absolutely. Ma'am, if you read a lot of literature on assertiveness, it really sounds like aggression. No, I can't come. Now that maybe to some might seem aggressive, but assertive is, today I'm unable to come because I cannot make it. I have certain other. So therefore, confrontation by default need not be aggressive. It can definitely be done in an assertive manner, as long as you're confronting with facts.
Yeah.
See, when I said, Dr. Jagati, the last 5 years I've known you. You've never done this. It's only the last time. I'm confronting with fact, as opposed to Jagati. I've heard from other people also how you treat others, and you ensured you treated me like this. I have no idea why I'm taking Jagati ma'am's name. I'll take turns. Yeah, next sessions I'm going to trouble Shubha ma'am, Sunita ma'am, or every other person that I can.
No,
see
Dr. Jagati is the sweetest person, so she will take it.
Look at us, look at us. Yeah. And we are talking about assertiveness, aggressiveness. If I take her name once again, I'm slightly going, which direction, and that too for all negative examples, dumping me, ditching me, all right. So think about it. So confrontation can just not be aggressiveness by default. We can also confront people in a very assertive manner. Sometimes, we train people to confront their spouses where people have realized there is infidelity. When people come to us for counseling, it's an important skill. Imagine a spouse has realized there could be potential or possible cheating, which has already happened. How can you confront with facts, with empathy, yeah, and which can lead to better results every which way? So now the idea is, assertive, this is the meaning. It's just that sometimes in the corporate sector, assertive has been made to seem like aggressiveness. So on one hand, we have submissiveness. On the other hand, we have aggressiveness. And in between, an ideal balance is assertiveness. Assertiveness is not just to say no. It's also to say yes. It's also to say, I need more time to either say yes or a no. But have you seen in every literature, assertiveness is the ability to say no. How diluted a concept that is. It's not.
Manoj just asked in the chat box, could we use a different word other than assertive? For me, in my mind, it says making your stance, Yeah.
Owning. Yeah, assertive is just that. And it's only in certain areas of its implementation, assertiveness has gotten bad reputation, but assertiveness is a fundamental skill of defending one's own boundaries without violating the boundaries of others. Just imagine the whole world had skill of assertiveness. There wouldn't be wars, there wouldn't be conflicts. We're talking about, people. We can talk about communities. We could talk about countries. What's the stance? Submissive, aggressive, assertive. Assertive is we don't violate others and we do not let others violate our boundaries. Think about it.
So the challenge for women in general is like mainly in Indian communities is they're expected to be submissive, okay?
Yeah.
And then when they become assertive, it is the family or the person that's addressed takes it as not as an assertive, but as an aggression.
Absolutely, quite possible. And this is not to overgeneralize, but statistically, depending on the cases, sometimes submissiveness is glorified. No, the ability to put up is called patience. It's called tolerance. Yeah. So that's where I think the question that I think it was Shubha ma'am, right, who asked adjustment. That thin line between adjustment for well-being or adjustment as an imposition. Mm-hmm. So therefore, we need to challenge these, we need to challenge this for sure. Submissiveness need not be venerated. A submissive woman is an ideal woman, an aggressive man is an ideal man. Where are these stereotypes coming from? Instead, what we need is assertive humans. Human beings who won't violate others' rights and will not allow others to violate theirs. That's it. Think about it. Yeah. And I think in the sessions to come, assertiveness will feature itself in various forms. I'll also be talking about what's known as a collaborative ANT approach. And I think our 5th session is on the skill of collaboration. And I think there we will also be talking about assertiveness, because this is the foundation. Reshma ma'am, my request would be, let's say somebody, I don't know if there are going to be, this is in my imagination. If somebody says they have missed the first session, they want to come to the second session, if there is consent from all participants, feel free to share the Zoom, the link of this session, because this is foundation. So because without overgeneralization, personalization and all that, no, I wouldn't say sessions are dependent on each other. It's not a course, but then it would be better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You see regarding that possibility.
Okay.
All right, then. Any other questions? It was lovely, meeting all of you, and really looking forward to spending the next 5 months with all of you. Thanks for joining in. Yeah. Are there any questions? No?
I just have a suggestion that
Yes.
you
Yes.
present it in such an informal and educative way that anyone who's coming, even if they've missed the session, if they join the other session, your words are going to be valuable, to them.
That's so kind.
Thank
you so
ma'am,
much.
for
Yeah.
spending
Thanks a lot, Dr. Jagati.
waking up early.
No problem. At
Actually,
least,
Dr. Ashwini has not even had a cup of coffee with us.
no, no problem. No problem, ma'am. I have this habit that, if it's coffee, then I need to end it with breakfast. So, it's some overgeneralized thought that's become a pattern. So, great then. So thank you so much, everyone. I hope each one, sometimes I ask each one bring one. That should be the offer of this, the course. Each one try to get one. And if there are teenage sons, daughters, just encourage them, because I would say anybody above 10, it should be okay for them to be part of these sessions. And I teach cognitive distortions to 2nd standard kids who are like 6 years old. And they, I overgeneralized. I fought with my sibling. That realization is so needed. I mind read my dad, mind read my mom. That vocabulary, when it gets built, this is prevention of mental health concerns and promotion of mental health. So whatever you're learning, I would request you take it to the community, take it to your family. Yeah. Great then. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a great night, take rest, and happy weekend to all of you. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ashwini. We have Shubha here to give the vote of thanks. Yeah.
Good night.
Yeah, I know it's late, but I am just going to do my duty of giving vote of thanks. We had such a great session. Thank you so much, Dr. Ashwini. Big thanks to you for being part of Women's Forum's project, herSwaasthya, and giving us such a valuable session. And we look forward to the upcoming sessions. So I'm still thinking right now, which is my favorite cognitive distortion. I think I have quite a bit of almost all of those, maybe. So I guess I can think about it tonight. I'm sure all of you can too. So actually, for me, it was a new term, cognitive distortions. So maybe some of you have heard it, but for me, it was a new word. And everything you said was, we didn't associate it with a word, but we knew, we have seen, we are used to this. And this realization, like you said, I wish I I knew it at when I was 6 or 7 years old. Well, it took me a little more than that to get used to this or understand this. So thank you so much for this valuable session again. And thank you to the executive committee, the president. I'm sure some of them were here, but it's pretty late, so I cannot tell how many people are here right now. But that's okay. That's okay. And there were people, but I guess people just dropped, like you said, dinner, different things. So I would like to thank President Dr. Jacob Thomas, Secretary Ojas John, Treasurer Biju Thonikadavil, Vice President Sunny Valnikanam, and Joint Secretary Dr. Jaymol Sridhar, Joint Treasurer James George, for all the support they give us. Thanks to our, I'm sorry, I've been coughing for some time now. I'm sorry. Thanks to our chair, Suja also. She always supports us, and she was talking to you, so you know who she is. And thanks to my fellow committee here for bringing up such a great session, and to all of you who have attended today. Thank you so much. This session is a success only when we have, only when it reaches you. So I hope next time we have even more people attending, and I hope each of you would definitely attend. Thank you for staying late, for those of you who are especially in EST time zone. Thank you so much for staying late, and I'm sure you gained a lot from the session. Thank you again, Dr. Jagadi. Dr. Jagadi, for all the wonderful questions, and everyone else who asked the questions. So thank you again, Dr. Ashwini, for not even having breakfast or coffee and talking to us. We look forward to the next session or sessions. Eagerly waiting for those. And thank you again, all of you.
Thanks, everyone. Good night. Take care.
Night. Good day, Dr. Ashwini.
Yeah,
Thank you
good
so
day.
much.
I hope you have your breakfast soon now.
Yes. Thanks, everyone. Take care. See you all next month.
Thank you,
Bye.
Dr. Ashwini.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks, Tina. Thank you.
Thank you. Even though I was not part of this meeting, because I had a coalition with another program with FOMAA, I was representing our Women's Forum team with all our projects and so in one of the region. But even though I had my headsets on and I was listening to you, that I couldn't stop myself taking it away except for me talking on the stage. So yes, it was a very informative session. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
On behalf of Women's Forum, yes.
Thank you so much. Take care, everyone. Thanks a lot for joining.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.